For all of human history, mankind has worshipped a higher power. The Norsemen worshipped the Aesir, the Greeks worshipped the Olympians, Southern Republicans worshipped the Confederacy, and now gamers worship the speedrunners. These gods among mortals have but one goal: to finish the games they play as fast as possible. Now, for anyone you've cornered at a party, this might be enough information for them to say, cool, and then walk away as though they had someone else to talk to. But this is YouTube, so we're going to go a little bit deeper than that. Despite speedrunning as a concept existing for quite a while, the ancient tomes suggest that the competitive community we now know and love first came into being around 1994. A genuine titan by the name of Christina Strunoff Norman started a website where people could showcase just how quickly they could complete specific levels in Doom. Also in 1994, Frank Staiano created what he called the Doom Honorific Titles, or DHT. Now, these weren't speedruns, but rather challenges that the player had to complete, such as finishing an entire level on the hardest difficulty with only one weapon. Another golden god, Simon Woodlake, took this idea and ran with it, but decided he wanted to focus on speed, and thus Compete N was born. Compete N was a place for these deities to congregate and post demos of their Doom speedruns for the peasants to scrabble on the floor just to catch a glimpse of. It was here that two categories of speedrunning were created: 80% and 100%. Now, these are pretty intuitive terms, but what the hell, since you asked so nicely, I'll explain them. 80% means that you just want to finish the game or level as quickly as possible. You can ignore as many enemies, levels, mechanics, laws of physics that you want to. 100% means that you have to do everything and do it quickly. Eventually, this competitive community spread to other games such as Quake. Another progenitor of the pantheon, Nolan Radix Plug? Pfug? It's going to be something like Plug, and I'm going to look like a real idiot. Anyway, he facilitated this expansion with the boon of the Speed Demos Archive. What initially began as an archive for Quake speedruns quickly became a hub for hundreds of other games too. Now regular people were ascending to divinity by playing video games very fast and posting recordings of it online for verification. People branched out into other genres, created forums for their efforts, and were now tackling entire video games as opposed to single sections or levels. However, controversy and conspiracy soon crept into the community, like your 7th stealth archer creeping into a Falmer camp. More people flocked to the pastime, and veterans continued to practice, so despite knowing its effect on cats around the globe, people fell victim to curiosity. Their runs were fast, but could they be faster? What if you could alter the game to create the perfect run? In 1999, Andy Orican Kempling changed the game, literally, and released his own modified Doom source code so that speedrunners could record their demos in slow motion, allowing them to perform frame-perfect maneuvers and just generally being more precise with their runs. This idea wasn't by itself earth-shattering, but it did lead to something more. Enter the Dark Lord himself, Morimoto. In 2003, a video of Morimoto speedrunning Super Mario Bros. 3 was posted and shared around the internet to gobsmacked viewers. Clocking in just over 11 minutes, it was an almost unbelievable display of skill and gaming perfection. Though the more people watched, the more suspicious they became, until eventually they squeezed the truth out of Morimoto like the guards at Guantanamo Bay. Oh, wait, no, he just posted online saying that he'd used an emulator, he hadn't done it all himself, and apologised for giving the impression that he had. Guess that sorts that out then. Yeah, nah, turns out they felt like he lied and started berating him online. But hey, he basically started the tool-assisted speedrunning genre, and apparently even inspired the creation of NES videos, which, as I'm sure you can imagine, was a website where people would post tool-assisted speedruns in NES games. And this grew as well, eventually becoming a big community that incorporated other systems and games. But hold up, let's backtrack, because what even is tool-assisted speedrunning, and how did Morimoto use an emulator to get this godlike run when the best unassisted runs are well over an hour? Well, if we look at Morimoto's statement itself, he says his emulator allowed him to run the game at 1/30th of a second at a time, Not only that, but he also saved and loaded a bunch whenever he made a mistake, implying that he stitched together the run from footage and attempts made over the course of several years. In general, tool-assisted speedrunners use emulators to find and subsequently take advantage of the optimal inputs for every single frame of the game they're running. And it's worth noting that what Morimoto did is basically the standard for this, running frame by frame to ensure perfection. So did tool-assisted speedruns destroy the hobby and tear the community apart? Did the unassisted speedrunners oust the cheaters from their midst and cast them down from their heavenly gaming chairs? Well, no. Not only were these two categories pretty separated in competition, but also it takes a lot of time and effort to create these insane tool-assisted speedruns. Think about playing your favorite game. Now think about playing it frame by frame, selecting specific inputs every time to maximize efficiency throughout the entire thing. That sounds exhausting to me. It's not as if they just downloaded programs that did everything for them. Most of them, well, at least most of the earlier ones, were handcrafted, just not played in real time. And did I mention they can help verify the legitimacy of unassisted runs? Yeah, it turns out people cheat in everything. So when people submit something that looks a bit fishy, you can check it against a literal perfect run with tool assistance to see if they've modified any footage, the game files, or just done some sneaky editing. Unassisted runs did remain more popular though. More people could participate, and in my opinion, it's more satisfying to watch someone push a game to its limits through struggle and practice than it is to watch literal perfection that no human could realistically achieve. A lot of other people seem to agree, because over the years there have been thousands of speedrunning marathons, charity streams, and live events. Games Done Quick, one of the biggest such events, raised over $2.9 million this year by itself. That's pretty good. And it's all for charity, so that's pretty awesome as well. Fast forward to today, and most speedruns are found on speedrun.com. The catalogue of games people can and have speedrun now stands at over 20,000 titles, so there's something here for everyone. From golden oldies like Quake, Doom, and Metroid, to new releases like Super Mario Odyssey, Breath of the Wild, and Spider Solitaire. I say there are over 20,000 games, don't quote me on that. I'm not sure what the actual number is because a lot of the games on the site show 0 runs, but I can't really figure out the discrepancy, so we'll roll with a similar number for now. Players have collectively logged over 2.2 million runs in these games, with more than 25,000 in Super Mario 64 alone. The runs ranging from anywhere between 6.5 minutes for 0-star runs and over an hour and a half for 120-star runs. This is what a speedrun of Super Mario 64 looks like. I don't even know what's happening on screen. It barely looks like a game anymore. Imagine the thousands of hours you'd have to practice to be able to do this. These people are athletes, and I refuse to believe otherwise. There are some other games like Getting Over It, which can be completed in just over a minute, making the process a bit faster, but undoubtedly no less frustrating. Then there are games like Breath of the Wild, where you can smash out an any percent run in under half an hour, but doing 100% will set you back a cool 17. Or if you find yourself with the better part of a month, you could try and tackle Hyrule Warriors 100%. This guy did it in just 564 hours and 51 minutes. So now you've seen the readily accessible and beginner-friendly culture of speedrunning, I can tell you're dying to give it a go. So here's how it works. You record gameplay footage of yourself attempting to run a certain category in a certain game. Maybe you want to be like Catalysts and breeze through Dark Souls like the enemies are sickly children wielding paper towels. Or maybe you want to legitimately break a game like Can't Even did with Portal, your insane speed and skill making it almost unrecognizable as the original game in the first place. Well, after you've practiced for the necessary thousands of hours, you can submit a run to speedrun.com, where the moderators will check it to make sure it's legit and also that you haven't been a dickhead while recording. If it's accepted, it goes into the history books. But this isn't the end of our journey through the holiest of histories. Like every other sport or professional activity, there are always going to be controversies and scandals. Remember our old friend Morimoto? He was pretty forthcoming about the fact that he hadn't done it all himself, but there are a lot of people out there willing to try and deceive the good subjects of speedrunning. Some of these fallen angels try to hide the fact that they've been using modified game files or emulators, like Mergy. Mergy? That sounds wrong. Mergy was a speedrunner of the wildly popular and well-known PlayStation 2 game Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden Memories. He held the any % world record in 2016 with a particularly interesting run. Now, the full explanation of this run and the scandal surrounding it is both very long and very complicated, so I'll try and boil it down to the main points. Depending on who you ask, Mergy either got an extremely improbable or an impossible drop with a card the game shouldn't have let him have. There was a lot of discussion on Reddit and other forums after he posted his run, with some other Forbidden Memories speedrunners coming to his defense, suggesting that it could have been just a bug or a glitch, while many others accused him of modding the game to increase certain drop rates. Wow, this particular method seems both familiar and relevant. Let's keep it in mind for later in the video. After a while, Mergy did admit to using a modified game for the run, putting the debate to rest and solidifying his position in the speedrunning Hall of Shame. On to our next example, which, incredibly, is from that same PS2 Yu-Gi-Oh! Game. Cavaria Games was a Brazilian YouTuber who decided to dabble in the sport of the gods, and dabble he did, for on his very first run, he landed himself 3rd place on the leaderboards. A fishy accomplishment in and of itself, he too was discovered to have cheated his way to this position. Then, with all the humility, intelligence, wisdom, and grace of the gods, he tried to emulate. He submitted a run which was even faster than before, potentially putting him in 2nd place. Naturally, this too was rejected because, you know, he was still cheating. It's also worth noting that this isn't even his biggest scandal. He harassed his fans and viewers, he made false copyright strikes against the actual world record holder, he was naked on stream without consequence, and he really doesn't know when to quit. I know that one wasn't entirely speedrunning related, but I just think it's crazy that there are 2 speedrunning scandals in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden Memories community. There are other ways of cheating, however, and this next method also harkens back to our friend Morimoto. Unassisted speedruns are generally accepted to have been completed in the one session, or at least on the one continuous game file. Connor Ace defied this rule in 2019 with the Cluster Truck speedrun. He spliced together multiple runs to make one faster, more successful one. Maybe this would have flown under the radar if he'd just been some random posting it to speedrun.com, but he submitted it to Games Done Quick. Foolish thing for a cheater to do. Even worse, he did it to undercut a speedrunner with a better time. But even worse than that, he got accepted. But that's not where this ends. Apollo Legends was a YouTuber, and for the sake of transparency, I would like to point out that he did sadly take his life late last year. He was known for his videos on the speedrunning community, and specifically on GDQ. Now, he was controversial, to say the least. Some of the opinions he expressed in his videos weren't shared or tolerated by the speedrunning community. Apollo Legend was the one who first exposed Connor Ace as a cheater. Now, if this had been a more reputable or well-liked YouTuber, perhaps everyone would have just accepted it and moved on. But they didn't. They immediately accused Apollo Legend of lying and basically just dismissed the video. Thankfully, eventually, Connor Ace did admit to cheating and then made a bunch of excuses that no one could verify, stepped down from his position in the community, and solidified himself a position in the Hall of Shame. There are plenty more examples of spliced runs and modified game files, but I'm only going to talk about one more because this video is getting pretty long already. Now, if you've made it to this point in the video, I assume you already know where I'm going with this. The biggest scandal in recent memory. The man himself, the inspiration for this video. He's single-handedly tearing apart both the Minecraft and speedrunning communities. Dream. You know that little method I told you to remember for later in the video? Later is now. Dream submitted a Minecraft speedrun in October of 2016, and then the internet lost its mind. That's not even that much of an exaggeration. Once again, the story is so long and convoluted and filled with little details that I can't really go into it completely or even fully understand it, so I'll condense it. The first thing you have to understand is that to speedrun Minecraft, you have to wade through quite a few random item drops. Now, some of these are really quite rare, which makes speedrunning the game pretty hard. The second thing you have to understand is that Dream got really, really lucky. A little too lucky. Over 2 months after he posted his 5th place run, The moderators of speedrun.com took it down from the website, announcing that they'd been investigating it ever since it was posted. Not only did they investigate that run itself, but they also investigated 6 other streams that Dream had done. They released a 14-minute long video summarizing their findings, and then also released a 29-page document specifying every detail of their investigation. This was legit. The statistical analysis was comprehensive, and they had graphs, man. They basically came to the conclusion that the odds simply don't add up. Dream got too lucky, and now he was being forcibly removed from the casino. So just how lucky was he? Well, the report concluded that all of the random drops and events combined worked out to be about 1 in 7.5 trillion. Now that's not the exact raw chance of his specific run, but the investigators do say that that's a possible overestimate for anyone getting as lucky as Dream got. That seems a little suspicious, so they also concluded that he'd modified his game files to get this incredible result. This by itself was already a little bit tasty, but Dream's response kicked it into overdrive, turning it into a full-blown scandal. He denied it. This naturally caused online meltdowns from community members, angry forum goers, and large creators alike. They all turned on Dream, accusing him of being both a cheater and a liar, laughing at his foolishness from their lofty equines. Now I want to take this moment to say that I'm not an expert on Minecraft, speedrunning, or Minecraft speedrunning, so I'm really not an authority on the subject. Carl Jobst made an incredibly detailed, thoroughly researched, and well-informed video on the subject that explains it way better than I can. It's not without its own bias, but it's a very detailed video that can help you inform your own opinion. I advise you to watch that video if you have any interest or investment in this whole dramatic scenario, but the gist is that while Dream may not have intentionally altered the drop or barter rates for his run, the game files were modified and Dream didn't handle it particularly well, but it is also possible that he intentionally cheated. Apparently, Dream hired an astrophysicist from Harvard to dispute the claims and set the record straight. The counter-report this astrophysicist made claimed that the odds were approximately 1 in 10 million, not the 1 in 7.5 trillion claimed by speedrun.com. Not a great step up, but still. Naturally, very few people found this convincing, so on May 30th, 2021, Dream finally admitted to cheating in a video game. He claimed it was accidental, that he hadn't realised that the mods would actually modify the drop and barter rates in question. Many people still remain unconvinced, which is fair, but to his credit, he did apologise to the speedrun.com team and to everyone that got caught up in the drama. As I said, there are so many other amazing and skillful speedruns that I could showcase, or dramatic tales of betrayal that I could go over, but we've gone on long enough. We've seen some of the best and the worst that the speedrunning community has to offer, and I hope you enjoyed this deep dive as much as I enjoyed researching and writing it. I know this was a bit of a departure from some of the other videos I make, but it's video game related, so it's still relevant, damn it. Anyway, thanks heaps for watching. I doubt that anyone's really made it to this point, to be honest. I can say whatever I want here. Zack Snyder's Justice League was really bad. Like and subscribe, leave a comment if you actually made it this far, and have a good one.